Have you felt like you've been in this time warp where life just seems to be happening at warp speed? I did a talk on this book, and I thought it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, maybe it was a year and a half. I looked it up, it was 3 years ago. And what's most interesting about that for me is that I was able to dive back in and look at this teaching again and realize that I had gotten stuck, that COVID and work and life overcame my desire to keep expanding and growing and evolving. And I have a question for you all. So, how many people here believe that our thoughts can create and our thoughts can affect our environment and can create our future, right? So a fair number of you, maybe everybody here, maybe I can't see everybody online at the moment, but I would imagine that's why you're here, right? So how many of you this morning got up and envisioned and created your future? A smattering, maybe, maybe sort of, right? So why don't we? Unfortunately, the truth is that we don't actually believe our teaching. The truth is that somewhere down, if we absolutely believed that our thoughts, that our being, our very attention and energy were creating our lives, our environment, our future, would we let a morning go by without doing it? But what we do, and what I do, right, is I get up in the morning and either the kids have woken me up or I get up because something's about to happen and I stumble to the coffee pot and I stumble to the bathroom and I pry my eyes open and then I shower and I get dressed and I get ready in the same way I do every day. And some of the same thoughts occur to me. Oh, what do I have to do today? What's on my calendar? What didn't I get to yesterday? What's past due? How is this bill going to get paid? What's going on at work? What's going on in politics? And these habitual habits come and take over my life. And all of a sudden, the day's half done. I come, I do meetings, I talk to people. Some of them are great, some of them trigger me, and I have the same feelings I've had for decades around them, and I go unconscious. Anyone relate to that? Right? And all of a sudden, a week, a month, or 2 years have gone by, or 3 years have gone by, and nothing's changed because nothing's changed. Did you know that by the time we're 35, that 95% of our personality is formed? 95% of our personality is formed by that time. Your personality creates your personal reality. You get that? Your personality is what got you where you are. It's what made some of the greatest achievements in your life. But it's also the thing that keeps you stuck in some ways. And a personality is a combination of our thoughts and our behaviors and our feelings. And after years and years of doing it, they get into a pattern from our brain. Because in our brain, all those circuits that this picture represents, all those pictures are wiring. Every time we think a thought, it triggers emotions. It triggers hormones, which can trigger emotions. Or we have a feeling, and it triggers the same thoughts. How many of you have ever had the thought, or frequently have the thought, oh, this is happening to me again. Oh, why does this always happen to me, right? Cells, Hebbian learning, cells that fire together wire together. And when we do something without thinking over and over and over again, or thinking but keep repeating the same thinking, it makes it easier for it to happen again. So it takes more and more effort to change it, to make something new happen in our lives. And the problem is, most of us want something new. We want a new relationship, a new job, a new experience. I want the church to be packed on Sunday, and yet I fall into the same patterns of, well, people don't want to do church anymore. People don't want to do Sunday services. Everybody wants to do it online. While I have evidence here that that's not true, there's great people online and there's great people in the room, and we can have both, but the patterns are so pervasive in our society that they wear us down. And how many of us have tried to have better finances without changing how we think about money? How many of us have tried to have more prosperity in our lives without doing the work necessary to understand that we are the ones creating it? So we try to create something new with our old personality, and guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing. To create change, you must think greater than your current circumstance. But if we still hold on to the belief that life is hard, or that job market is tight, or there's a recession coming and the stock market has crashed, or there's only so much money I can get from that job, therefore my income is limited because I'm retired, those are the realities you'll create with. To create something else, we have to be willing to let go of that old personality. And that's hard, folks, right? Let's tell the truth. You know what it takes to do that? Time, effort, awareness, education, commitment. And most of us, me included, fall short. So if we want a better world, I was having this conversation with one of our members before this. If we want a better world, who here wants a better world? Right? Duh. We have to be different. We can't bring our old personality to the game and create a better world. We can't. I talked about it last week. I couldn't bring my old personality to my interactions with my father and expect a different result. Right? If I want it to be different, we have to be different. So how do we do that? How do we really shift that? Part of it, as I just mentioned, is education, because education is what rewires our brains. Quantum law says, and this is what's so amazing about Joe Dispenza's book, is it talks about the quantum reality of all this. Excuse me, I hit the wrong button. And quantum law says that all potentialities exist at the same time. So let's dive into that. What does that really mean? All potentialities exist simultaneously. When scientists in quantum theory are looking at the atom, the smallest part, right? It's made of subatomic particles, right? And it has electrons spinning around, it has a nucleus that has things in it, but most of it is nothing. Most of it is just space. And what's really fascinating to learn about it is that in the atom, the electrons only exist when observed. They do not show up until one of us looks for them. Otherwise, they just exist in potentiality as infinite possibilities. And then when we look at it, they appear as we think they should appear. Right? So something that is infinitely potential, we limit and call it something. We call it chair, we call it floor, we call it building, we call it body, we call it disease, we call it good, we call it bad. In Scripture, it says, in the beginning, Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They called it good, they called it bad. And that's what we do when we limit something in potentiality, when we look at it. And we are not exempt from this quantum law. Now, you may think that you're sitting here, and you are, and your heart is beating, and it is, because I don't see anyone out on the floor, right? And that you're taking in oxygen, and you're doing all of that involuntarily, right? But there is a part, scientists also know there's a part in your brain that is controlling that. And that part of your brain is also made up of cells, which are made up of molecules, which are made up of atoms, which are made up of subatomic particles, which primarily are nothing. They're just pure potential. Every part of our being, every part of our body is pure potentiality. But we act as if it's locked. We behave as if it's set. Well, I have this diagnosis. Well, I have this condition. Well, I am this age. Well, I am this gender. And in reality, we can be anything because it all is possible. Whew. Take that in for a moment. The nothingness in our brain, in every cell and atom of our body, that pure potentiality, is what I call universe, love, infinite power, divine, spirit. That energy that has created all of it, the cosmos and all of it, and we get to inhabit it by letting go of who we think we are so that we can become who we're really here to be. You are here to be something so magnificent that the universe is calling you at this moment, calling you up higher, calling you up greater to that pure potentiality. The quantum field responds to not what we want, doesn't listen to what we want, but it listens to what we are being. So when our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors align, we get to operate in coherence. We get to tell the universe exactly what we think. How many of us have tried affirmations? I am prosperous, I am prosperous, I am prosperous. I expect unexpected income. And at the same time in our mind, we're going, ooh, can't pay that bill, can't pay that bill, can't pay that bill, can't pay that bill, right? That's called incoherence, folks. The universe is not abundance if we're constantly thinking it's not. Nothing will happen with that. But when we can imagine, feel into the infinite possibility, and then take behaviors in alignment with those feelings and those thoughts, the quantum universe will respond instantly, and we watch miracles happen in our lives. Take that in. Because usually what our thoughts and behaviors and feelings look like is this. A jigsaw puzzle that might be 4 different jigsaw puzzles and random thoughts and feelings happening everywhere in them, but not coherent. Right? When we align ourselves with our thoughts and feelings, things start to move and happen. Right here and right now, we have that opportunity. We have the opportunity to shift. And how do we do it? By understanding that the state of being is just that. What state are you in right now? Where is your being? Are you upset about politics? Are you upset about the situations in the city? Are you upset about something at home? Are you upset about what something else is doing? But at the same time, you're going, I am peace, I am love, I am joy. Right? Those two things are fighting each other. And the universe is noticing. The universe is noticing. No, it's not saying that we don't have those emotions. I want to be really clear. Because if we are creating, if everything is possible, if we can create the future, why wouldn't we want to experience it all? I want to experience the sadness. I do. I want to feel the grief of losing someone. I'm looking at Elaine because we know it. I visited my mom while I was on vacation. There's this bittersweetness. She's happy, and she's gone. At the same time, I want to experience it all. I'm not saying not to have the feelings. But what I'm asking us to step into, and what this book offers us, is a way to be authentic, to be coherent, to be powerful in the face of grief, in the middle of abundance, to be champions as we go through diagnosis and surgeries and medication, and to know they do not define us. What defines us is our state of being, our thoughts and our feelings and our actions in the midst of it. And that's the realm of miracles. That's where we move past what is to what could be. That place of infinite where we get to choose how they're going to show up, how the electrons are going to show up, and how it's going to move. There's an amazing study we're going to talk about in this class this afternoon about how that energy of understanding and that consciousness of prayerful consciousness can shift the past. Whatever you think is locked because it happened to you 20, 30, 40 years ago, your belief that it's locked is what's locking it. It is open to infinite possibility. So my next question is, how many of us here know people, not us, of course, who have mastered suffering? Mastered it, right? Do we avoid them? Sometimes, right? Because you can offer them a way out. You can offer them a way through it. And they'll go, no, that doesn't work for me. I've tried it. Well, yeah, you've tried it, but again, we must be in alignment, coherent. Our thoughts must match our feelings and our behaviors. And so the process of doing it involves us having to dive deep and to get beyond what we think we are to those glimmers of possibility that we could be. I've told you this before, but it bears repeating. When we started the journey to look for a new home for Unity San Francisco, we did a meditation at one of our board members' home here in Pacific Heights. And we did a guided meditation, and we all came out catching visions. And one of them was that we would be in this space, and people would be walking down the street to get in, and it was filled with colored light. Filled with colored light. And I'm standing here today knowing that that vision was called forth long before we ever knew of this building, ever knew of that. It was there for us to say yes to. And that process is possible for all of us. If you can master suffering, you can just as easily master joy, right? We can learn our lessons through pain, and we can choose to change because of diagnosis, because of job loss, because of relationships breaking apart, or we can choose to learn from joy and happiness and love. Which one? Which one, folks? Again, we believe that suffering is curative. Again, a belief. And is it true? If you want a new outcome, you have to break the habit of being yourself. Period. And you have to create a new you. You have to create a new you, and you get to choose how you do it. The dark night of the soul or the joyful dance down the street. And sometimes it's a combination of both, right? But that's the opportunity we have today, and over the next weeks as we study this book. There is a way to use meditation, to use prayer, to use self-awareness, to shift, and to create something new. Each and every one of you is a miracle. Each and every one of you have done this in some ways in your life. And I know, because I'm standing here experiencing it too, each and every one of us have some area where we need to let go of who we think we are so that we can become what the world truly